welcome back to the Crypto Saving Expert News Show, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news so that we can keep you up to date with what's happening in the markets, and we'll take a look at the prices as well. Sorry for the delay. We usually start at 11. We're a couple of minutes late because I couldn't get my camera to work, but we're in action now so we can crack on with today's news. Before we forget, Adrian said first time I'm here before the start. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so that you don't miss all of our daily live streams, and make sure to go onto our page as well and notify yourself for upcoming live streams as well. First of all, don't forget to drop some questions in the chat for the end of today's video. I'll go through the live chat at the end and answer any questions we have there about the markets, about cryptocurrency in general, anything you would like to know, or about Crypto Saving Expert if you want some teasers there as well. I might be able to spill some inside information of how that's going, but let's take a look at the news. Bitcoin is currently at $16,870 and Ethereum is at $1,216. Now, I was just taking a quick look at the Bitcoin chart and the indicators aren't looking too bearish. Hello, Hamzak. Thank you for tuning in again. We can see here on the Bitcoin chart we're at $16,860 and the MACD looks like it could be about to turn bullish. Now, we have bearish divergence indicated on the MACD chart. This is where we have this bar chart where the lines are coming downwards. However, these lighter color reds mean that the bearish momentum is slowing down, and we're coming back to this baseline here, which could indicate that we're about to tick back into bullish momentum on the 1 hourly chart. The RSI is quite medium at 54, so that means we're not too overbought and we're not oversold. But if we also look at the daily chart as well, the indicators are looking pretty similar. So we're seeing here that we could be about to tick into bullish momentum on the MACD chart, and the RSI is looking pretty neutral here as well. So when we have a bigger time frame indicator and a shorter time indicator, that's a pretty solid indicator that that's a valid thing to look at and something that is going to predict the future price of Bitcoin quite well. Now, because it's Christmas week, it's Christmas on Sunday, we may just see volumes drop off. If we put the volumes on here as well, we can take a look at what that is looking like. But usually around Christmas time, we see the volumes drop off for traders and we just see more sluggish movements. We don't see the markets be as volatile as they usually are. But let's take a look anyway at today's news. Now, first of all, we have that FTX will attempt to recoup millions donated to US politicians by SBF. FTX's new management is considering pursuing millions of dollars donated to US politicians by SBF and his close associates. Bankrupt crypto exchange FTX seeks to claw back the new management at the exchange, in charge of restructuring and bankruptcy proceedings, is trying to recoup the millions of dollars. The contributions were allegedly made using customers' funds, thus increasing the web of misappropriation of finances by FTX's former CEO and top executive. According to the Financial Times, FTX's new management has been approached by a number of recipients of contributions or other payments, seeking to return the money donated by Sam Bankman-Fried, the company, or its top executives. The bankrupt crypto exchange said it would soon set out a process to accept such voluntary refunds. It will likely take legal action towards those who do not return the donated cash and even demand interest payments. So it's very interesting that these people are stepping forward and offering to give their cash back. Maybe they knew that they were giving it in a way that they perhaps should not have done. And carrying on here, to the extent such payments are not returned voluntarily, the FTX debtors intend to commence actions before the bankruptcy court to require the returns of such payments, with interest occurring from the date any action is commenced. From some US politicians who received the funds have pledged to donate the cash to charity, but FTX has warned that it will still try to recover the funds, including going after the organizations that receive the donations. Recipients are cautioned that making a payment or donation to a third party, including a charity, in the amount of any payment does not prevent the FTX from seeking recovery from the recipient or any subsequent transferee. Therefore, FTX has invited anyone who receives such contributions to contact the company regarding voluntary repayment, as it will prevent the lengthy and often brutal legal route of getting the cash back. So hopefully they will get that cash back. I know FTX has showed a lot of red flags since we've been able to see what's been happening internally. However, if they get that cash back, that is user funds that can be given back to those users of that exchange that were unknowingly using that centralized exchange that had all of those risks involved. Now, whether these donations should have happened or not, with the warning of interest being paid if they don't pay it back, that does create some sort of reassurance that they will receive some money back and their users will receive some sort of their funds back. Moving on to the next article though, Coinbase shares realistic blueprint to crypto regulation for 2023. Following the recent wave of crypto collapses, Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong believes it's paramount to create regulatory clarity on cryptocurrency to restore trust in the emerging sector. Now, I've spoken about this quite a lot on these live streams. A lot of people in the cryptocurrency space do fear regulation because we are currently in a non-regulated space. We value the transparency that brings. We value the decentralization that brings. But regulation is something that could have stopped things like FTX taking place. It could have stopped a load of bankruptcies that have completely crashed the market. So regulation is important. However, we just want to make sure that it's not regulated in a way that stops certain people accessing cryptocurrency. We want it to be available for everybody. Carrying on with this article, on Monday, the CEO of Coinbase Exchange shared that he sees in a realistic blueprint for crypto regulation and urged crypto companies, including policymakers and regulators, to pursue it instead of waiting to get something comprehensive and perfect. So there's going to be a lot of different drafts about what regulations could be put into this space, and a lot of people are getting to disagree with the different regulations that could come out. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried was actually working on some regulations in New York State, but I doubt that will be continuing. However, that gets processed, there'll be a lot of backlash because he was creating regulations that I don't believe he was even abiding to himself, and that is something that BitBoy has been challenging on his channel, and they've created their own set of regulations that they're going to try and push. It's very interesting debate going on over with Sam Bankman-Fried and BitBoy, but let's carry on with this article. Centralized crypto companies should be regulated first, says Coinbase CEO. Armstrong said centralized entities like stablecoin issuers, exchanges, and custodians constitute the most risk to customers, as seen over recent years. Hence, regulators must focus more on creating regulatory clarity for centralized crypto companies rather than their decentralized counterparts or DeFi in general. Among other things, Coinbase's CEO said a reasonable stablecoin law should require issuers to register as a state trust or OCC national trust charter and undergo thorough reserve audits on a yearly basis. Now, that's really important. We want to see proof of reserves in centralized exchange and make sure they're not using their reserves to collateralize other loans. We want to make sure that they are backed one-to-one so that if a lot of people go and withdraw their funds from a centralized exchange all at once, those customers can still receive their funds because they have a right to withdraw their funds whenever they see a fit. Now, that is something that FTX could not stand up to. We've tested Binance over recent weeks with the amount of FUD we've had. We've seen a huge amount of withdrawals, and they've been able to deliver on those withdrawals, and that's created a sense of security with that centralized exchange. But if we have more transparency and we have these proof of reserves, which Binance did try to provide, but Mazar's audit firm decided not to work with cryptocurrencies anymore, as long as centralized exchanges continue to try and be more transparent, creating a policy that means you have to be more transparent shouldn't really be an issue. Armstrong urged regulators to establish a federal license that permits such companies to serve customers nationwide, including mandating AML and KYC laws for exchanges and custodians. Now, this is something that would become a controversial opinion because having KYC laws means that we lose that sense of transparency. If we want to put more money into our cold storage wallets, we have to use an on or off ramp, and that means using exchanges. And if they have KYC, that means you're putting your name onto that cryptocurrency when you move it to your cold storage wallet. We're going to still have those issues, and transparency will be taken away from the cryptocurrency space. Adrian said mobile phones must be turned off at the broadcast station. The interface is audible during the broadcast. So my phones, I have had this issue before. Let me put my phones further down and see if that helps the issue. Let me carry on with this. In places like the US, it's fine to preserve the option for states to issue their own licenses as well, but there should be a federal option that allows the US to be a single market. Coinbase's CEO also explained that the cryptocurrency industry needs clarity from the Commodities Futures Trading Commission and the SEC on which digital currency qualifies as a commodity or a security. Now, we've spoken about this before on the channel. Now, we have commodities and we have securities, and whether it classifies as one or the other for a cryptocurrency, the lines are so blurry and the regulations for both differ so much. So it's really hard for companies at the moment to abide by the rules when they don't. It's difficult to decide whether a certain cryptocurrency is a commodity or a security. Given both regulators have scuffled for jurisdiction over cryptocurrencies in recent years, Armstrong says US Congress may have to step in and pass legislation on the matter. Congress should also require the CFTC and SEC to clearly publish their categorization of the top 100 crypto assets by market cap within 90 days of the above legislation being enacted, declaring whether each asset is a commodity, security, or other, such as a stablecoin. Now, I imagine that would cause a huge amount of issues in the cryptocurrency space. We've seen XRP have that entire battle, and I think that battle, once finished, will put forward a stance about the whole cryptocurrency industry, not just XRP. So it'll be interesting to see what the result of that is. But labeling the top 100 as a commodity or a security could cause a huge amount of volatility within the cryptocurrency space. We saw how much XRP plummeted when a label was put on it, so that would cause a huge amount of volatility. But, however, in the long term, maybe that is what is needed. Moving on to the next article here, we have 104 Bitcoin linked to defunct Canadian exchange Quadriga CX mysteriously moved. So cold wallets linked to defunct exchange have mysteriously moved over 100 Bitcoin, and trustees have stated that it did not control the wallets. A new development has arisen concerning the fate of lost Bitcoin tied to the defunct Canadian exchange over the weekend. 104.34 Bitcoin, to be precise, was linked to their cold wallets, and it was transferred after being dormant for over 3 years. The Bitcoin, worth an estimated $1.75 million, sat in cold storage wallets until Friday, and then it was moved. So the Bitcoin was considered irretrievable after the sudden 2018 death of its founder and CEO, Gerald Cotton. The company's bankruptcy trustee, Ernst & Young, did not move the funds. A bankruptcy inspector and Quadriga's creditor committee member added that Ernst & Young did not initiate the movement of the said Bitcoin. Now, taking a look at this, we've got some of the wallet addresses here. The movement of the dormant Bitcoin was also captured by on-chain sleuth and crypto Twitter community member ZachXBT, who traced the movement to the Bitcoin mixer Wasabi, as seen in the tweet below. So a Bitcoin mixer is where you can put you can send your Bitcoin to the mixer, and then it will send it back into a new wallet, and it mixes it around with lots of different cryptocurrency basically within the platform. So it removes any trace of where the Bitcoin has come from when you receive it in your new wallet. It could have come from hundreds of different wallets that have sent Bitcoin into that mixer. So it completely removes any trace. Now, a blockchain is meant to be transparent. You're meant to be able to follow the Bitcoin along the different blockchain. You can read every single block and see where the Bitcoin's traveled through. But if it's been into a mixer, that makes it almost impossible to see the path the Bitcoin has taken before you receive it into your wallet. Similar, there was one called Tornado Cash that was in the news recently. The developer of that was taken into prison, I think, which just blew my mind, because writing a piece of code and putting it on the internet open source shouldn't be an illegal offense, in my opinion. But continuing with this, the mysterious movement of the allegedly lost Bitcoin belonging to Quadriga's CX adds fuel to the theory that its founder and CEO might still be alive somewhere. The events surrounding the collapse of the exchange have been the subject of several conspiracy theories since the untimely death of its founder and CEO in December 2018. Netflix released a documentary in March 2022 chronically chronicling the Quadriga CX saga, its founder, untimely death, and individual investigations by investors who lost money after the exchange went bankrupt. I watched this documentary. I can't remember what it was called. It was interesting. One theory is that Cotton might have used customers' funds to trade on other exchanges and lost a large chunk of it in the process, prompting him to fake his own death. This theory is hinged upon the fact that Quadriga CX cold wallets were discovered to hold much less than what was deposited by its users. There was also additional evidence that Cotton had orchestrated a long list of Ponzi schemes dating back to when he was 15 years old. This fact added weight to the theory that Quadriga CX was one such scheme that included him faking his death. Now, if we actually found out that was true, that would be astonishing. Taking a look back at the chat, Mark said, loving the updates, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Hamzak said, great work, Jess. Thank you very much, Hamzak. Carry on now to the next article. I think it's going to be a long one today because we started a little bit late. We're looking at this article. Central African Republic postpones its crypto token listing in Q1 2023. So the Central African Republic, the first African country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, has reportedly postponed its plan to list the national digital currency, Sango, this year. The country's token is now scheduled to be listed within the first quarter of 2023, according to a Telegram announcement on December the 19th. We are going to postpone the listing of Sango and the 5% release to Q1 of 2023. Moving on now, though, because we've got a huge amount of articles to go through. In-depth review of 5 new play-to-earn games, part 1. So we've got some new articles coming out onto our Medium page of Crypto Saving Expert. Make sure to check that out, and you can subscribe over there as well. But shortly we will be moving all of this news onto our official website, which will be going live in Q1 of 2023. It is looking so good, and I might throw a few teasers into these live streams within the next few weeks. We could use the site for a couple of things and be the first to see it over here. If you want to be the first to use it, however, make sure to go over to cryptosavingexpert.com and put your email into that email box on the center of the page, and you will be one of the first to receive it. And you will also receive our weekly newsletters on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. A quick overview of what's happened that week in cryptocurrency, keeping you all up to date. And if you do that now, you'll be there in time for our Christmas edition. So let's carry on with our articles. Bankrupt crypto lender BlockFi seeks to return frozen assets to wallets users. Embattled crypto lender BlockFi has filed a motion at a US court seeking to release frozen digital assets deposits in its wallet accounts to users. According to a document, the motion was filed on December 19 at the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of New Jersey. The distressed lender sought authority from the court to honor client withdrawals from only its wallet accounts. Recall that BlockFi suspended withdrawals on November the 11th due to the effects of the collapse of the bankrupt crypto exchange FTX. So we've just seen a complete domino effect in this bear market for cryptocurrency, starting all the way back with Three Arrows Capital. We've seen this complete domino effect, and the lender has received a $400 million revolving credit facility from FTX after it encountered liquidity issues due to the Terra Luna ecosystem collapse. Shortly after FTX's downfall, the BlockFi filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, disclosing that its primary purpose was to recover all obligations owed to its partners, especially FTX and its affiliated entities. BlockFi also filed for customary petitions to enable it to continue its business operations under the court's surveillance. The firm will be allowed to pay employees wages and benefits without restrictions upon approval. And now bankrupt lender has requested that the court authorize it to release the crypto assets in its wallet accounts. Now that'd be great for some of their users to receive some of those funds back. And we can see here over $290 million of pending withdrawals from wallet accounts is sitting on BlockFi waiting to be released to those users. Moving on to the next article here, Bitcoin miner Greenidge signed $74 million debt restructuring deal with NYDIG. Now, we've seen a lot of miners struggle in these times because miners pay a huge amount for their hardware and then they pay a huge amount of electricity costs, so much so that it is a very common theory that well, it's a very common fact at this point that the costs of electricity here in the UK is just so high that having a mining machine here isn't worthwhile. After you've paid for the machine, after you pay for the electricity costs, even if you mine and receive that 6.25 Bitcoin, it wouldn't cover the costs that you've paid. Obviously, people mine in groups, so you wouldn't receive all of that if you were to do so, but the miners are really struggling because they have their hardware costs, they have their electricity costs. The price of Bitcoin has crashed so much that when they come to sell their Bitcoin, they haven't covered all of their expenses, so they are now struggling in this time, and all of the Bitcoin they held in their reserves, a lot of them have sold at this point, and that has contributed to the downfall of Bitcoin, because we've seen these miners create a lot of selling pressure because they want to ensure that they can continue to run through the bear market, they can continue to afford the electricity that they are paying for. So when Bitcoin looked like it was going to come down further, they were dumping as much Bitcoin as possible just to make sure that they could continue through this bear market. And unfortunately, Bitcoin miner Greenidge has signed a debt restructuring deal because they were struggling to do so. And this isn't common, but it could be signed that we are nearing the bottom for Bitcoin, because a lot of these miners have already hit this point or have sold all of their reserves and are waiting now to continue upwards. Moving on to the next article, Anchor reveals a former team member exploited its ABNBC token. A BNB chain protocol, Anchor has found that its former employee was behind the contract exploit on December the 1st. The DeFi protocol Anchor, which suffered a multi-million exploit earlier this month, issued an official statement on the incident on December the 20th, so yesterday, accusing a former employee of being responsible for the attack. While explaining the cause of the incident, Anchor said a former team member, whose name was concealed, inserted a malicious code package on the protocol's contract to perpetrate a supply chain attack. The malicious code was intended to compromise the protocol's private key once a legitimate update is passed to the contract. So this, although they can blame this individual, this is something that an internal company should make sure things go through multiple checks and are checked by a board of people and are all agreed upon before it is put officially out there into the world, because we need to ensure we have decentralized cryptocurrencies. We're trying to make sure that we have a huge amount of consensus before something is agreed upon, and obviously in this case that's not occurred. We've had one person be able to create this huge attack on that on Anchor's platform. So continuing on to the next article, Hamzak said, need to learn more about DeFi. Yes, it's a very interesting space. Elon Musk to resign as Twitter CEO once a foolish enough replacement is found. Elon Musk has tweeted that he will abide by an earlier poll that concluded with his Twitter followers voting for him to step down as the social media platform CEO. So we've all seen earlier this week, this has been huge all over the news. Should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide. Oh, I've clicked on the tweet. Let's see what this says. Should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide by the results of this poll. 57.5% said yes, with a 17.5 million votes. Now that is a huge amount, and since then I've actually seen, if we can take a look down at his tweets, we've seen someone say that it was actually bots voting for yes in this tweet, and Elon Musk did acknowledge the reply of this. However, I don't think that's something he can go back on now. And as I mentioned in yesterday's video, it'd be very interesting. I wonder if Elon Musk knew he was going to get this vote and he wanted to step down in a way that wasn't going to ruin his reputation, so he chose to do it this way, or if he thought that he was just so wrongly confident and expected a huge amount of people to say no, and he's just completely got this wrong. We will never know. But he's waiting to see who will come in as CEO. He doesn't believe that it is a good decision. Obviously here we've heard him say we want someone that's foolish enough to try and take his place on this and try and combat the issues that Twitter have with its bots and with the way that it has a huge amount of control over people's opinions. Moving on though, we have Uniswap now allows users to buy crypto directly with fiat. Ethereum's leading decentralized exchange, Uniswap, has begun supporting fiat crypto on-ramps. The exchange announced on Tuesday, revealing that its users can now directly purchase crypto on the platform using fiat payment options, a feature that has been lacking in most decentralized exchanges and applications. Starting today, you can purchase crypto on the Uniswap web app using a credit card, debit card, or bank transfer at the best rates in Web3. Now, this will be very interesting because Uniswap is a decentralized platform, and we have this on and off ramp. How will the regulators regulate this? Because they're trying to create KYC, AML when people are using centralized exchanges and when we have availability to on and off ramps. But if we can use decentralized exchanges, how they will regulate this, I do not know. Whether they look for the actual community that are building on top of Uniswap and make them develop it in that way. We did see in Sam Bankman-Fried's Sam Bankman-Fried did an outline of how he'd like to see regulation prior to this whole collapse. Whilst BitBoy was calling him out, he had a few ideas of how we can regulate things, and he actually wanted decentralized applications to be regulated and then to have specific warnings on the user interface. However, how that will actually get done, I'm not 100% sure. But moving on now to the Uniswap now allows on and off ramps, and that is a great update and something that I will be looking into. This is the first I've actually seen of it, so I will look into that and maybe bring some more information on that in tomorrow's live stream. So if you want to hear more about the latest news, make sure to tune in tomorrow and press the like button and the subscribe button and the bell notification button so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the next article, Bitcoin miner Core Scientific reportedly filed for bankruptcy despite $72 million bailout offer. So this is something I was talking about earlier in today's live stream. We won't recap it all too much. Bitcoin miners are really struggling during this time because they're trying to cover the electricity fees that they are paying for in order to support the Bitcoin network. Finally, that will take a look back at the prices of Bitcoin. We're still at around $16,860. CoinMarketCap has us at $16,870, and Ethereum is set at $1,215. So that is all we have for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. As always, please like and subscribe. Go over to our Twitter and make sure to follow us over there to hear the latest cryptocurrency news. We also post over on Instagram if you prefer Instagram, and we post on our Medium page as well, but it will soon be our website, which I will show you in coming weeks. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you all at the same time, 11 a.m. on the dot. The camera will not have any issues tomorrow, fingers crossed. I will see you all then. Thank you very much for watching.